Radical.
There's another one of my impromptu driving around uploads away from the recording studio. I read a gaming news article and I want to get my thoughts on it. So this article was about video game preservation, and I'll leave a link to it down below. Pretty interesting stuff. Basically, there's a big battle, a big fight over the preservation of video games, the legal preservation of video games. It's like this. Now, if someone writes a book and releases the book, then it's pretty easy to actually replicate it and preserve the book. I mean, literally, it's a book. And guess what? If the book gets faded over time, somebody can photocopy the pages and stuff. Books, that medium is like the easiest thing, books, magazines, to replicate. You can literally photocopy and replicate that. When it comes to music, also quite easy to replicate. Music used to come on CDs, but now it, comes on, it's digital, right? You say digital, it's hard to preserve digital. Not in the case of music. Quite simple. You could replicate a music file. You can basically get one of these music recorders or lots of programs, basically, I use it to actually record MIDI files I find different places on the internet to use in my outros. Very simple. Bandicam will do that. All right. So movies. Same concept, basically. You can actually use a video screen recorder to record what you're watching on a screen, on a PC screen. You can actually take the files off of a DVD, you can rip them onto your hard drive, and you can actually replicate on a separate DVD, print something on a label for personal use if you want to make a backup of that. So books, music, movies, these things these days are very easy to replicate. No problem with them. But games are an interactive medium, you see, and they are tied to the Switch, to the Xbox, to the PlayStation. Whereas books, medium, on paper, okay? Magazines, glossy paper. Then you got music, the medium, like I said, CDs before, but now digitally, easy to replicate though. And movies, the medium, Blu-ray disc. It's a general, like Blu-rays are, just a general medium. But it gets tricky when it comes to games and games preservation. Now, I think it's good. There's actually these foundations out there trying to do their best to preserve video games right now, because one day in the future, hopefully not anytime soon, everything's going to be streaming basically. You might download to your system or whatever, but where they want to eventually go to is basically streaming. That's where the game industry wants to go to. But when it comes to physical media, cartridges and disc and whatnot, how useful are cartridges and disc when you put it in your system and you have to download an update? It's no longer an offline thing. You are dependent upon the companies and what they want to do. And a lot of this came out into the light after Nintendo announced that basically it was removing a lot of stuff off of its digital storefronts. And then fans were like, well, how the hell can we basically access these games if we want to play them again? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Not a big deal when it comes to like the, fan-made games and, stuff that really isn't that great. But, we're talking about a possible scenario to where years into the future, people are looking back on games that were really great, stuff that might be top 100 games of all time, and suddenly not being able to access that game, play that game. All that would be left of that game is maybe a YouTube playthrough or something like that. So there's also another side of this, which is pirating. Arr! A lot of pirates actually are doing the work of actually trying to take these games, sometimes improve the games, take them, improve them, save them for history. And yet, technically that's illegal though. But, come on now. If the companies don't want to preserve their own games and they seem to be just interested in the profit, then what are you going to do? Is there a way for these two parties, preservationist and the game companies that just want profit, to actually meet in the middle? You know? Because, like, I think it's in the benefit of the companies to actually meet with the preservationists and come up with some kind of a solution to where they could actually have one place, you know, or some actual legit places or museums. A museum to preserve things, as John Hancock would say. You know, one place to where, for the future at least, no, I'm not talking about like taking their stuff and selling the Nintendo games or whatnot, or selling the Microsoft or Sony games. No, just a general place where you could actually preserve these things. Now, comes to the profit. Yeah, I mean, profit is a big part of it. So, you know, answer me this: How is it in the best interest of Nintendo or these other companies to have people pirating and emulating their games and not buying them? It's not in their interest for that. But literally, you know, that's how a lot of these people are. They're like, you know what, Nintendo, to hell with you. I'm just going to pirate your games because you don't care about game preservation. And that's the shocker here. Nintendo, far and away, probably the best, I will say the best, most well-known game publisher of all time. The House of Mario, all right? The House of Zelda. Those people don't seem to care all that much about video game preservation, other than maybe, like I said before, re-releasing Super Mario Bros. 3 15 times at an exorbitant price. So, yeah. What are your thoughts in the comment section down below? Sound off. Let me know. What are your thoughts? Is there a possible solution?